Getting to the root of the problem is not always easy. This is a 2004 Cadillac CTS that we put into hibernation about 5 years ago. And when we did, it had a P2234 issue. So that is a problem with a heating cycle on the oxygen sensor on the driver's side upstream. Replaced the O2 sensor, thought, hey, life's going to be good. Code came back. Yes, I know, no diagnostics, just part changers. Sometimes you're busy, and that's what you do. So now I had to actually think about this. And did a bunch of research. It got real complicated. Working on another issue, and it was in the firewall, which is where this wiring is, of this other car. And I read that sometimes the connectors get corroded back here. And sure enough, that connection was very, very corroded. And so I cleaned it all up, put some dielectric grease in it, put it back together. It was doing fine. So I got connection, doing fine. Now we've been driving it for a little bit, and now the code has come back. So is it the connector and its corrosion? Is it a short in the wire? Could that have caused a problem in the ECM? The more I get to reading and studying about this, the more I find that a persistent problem in the wiring or connection can actually create a short in the ECM. So the ECM is saying, hey, there's a problem over here, and there's a problem actually in the brains of the unit as well. This is a perfect segue into our devotional today. We find ourselves in Luke chapter 11. And in this situation here, we see that Jesus gets invited to a Pharisee's house to have dinner. And he triggers this guy. Jesus doesn't wash his hands. And he knows that this makes this guy absolutely crazy. It says in verse 38 of Luke 11, and when he saw it, he marveled that he had not first washed his hand before dinner. And Jesus uses this as a segue to say, you know, you guys have the opposite problem. You guys are clean on the outside and corrupt on the inside. Now, this is a very staggering chapter because we've got 6 woes that he pronounces on the Pharisees and the lawyers, the doctors of the law, and everybody has this idea that Jesus is all about love. And they might point out the fact that he overturned the tables at the temple, but they forget about these very tense exchanges that he has with the Pharisees. And so he starts off, after he tells them that they're corrupt on the inside, he says in verse 40, you fools. Did not he that make that which is without make him which is within? So he's saying, you know, you're taking care of the outside, and you're all about, you know, how you present yourself. Optics is the word we use today. And the inside of you is corrupt. And God made the inside and the outside. You need to be concerned about both of that if you're going to claim to be of God. And then he goes on, he says, woe unto you Pharisees, for you tithe the mint and the rue and all manner of herbs, and pass over judgment and the love of God. He says there's certain things that are so absolutely important, and you miss them. It's like their ECM has a short in it, and it's sending out really bad signals. Woe unto you Pharisees, verse 43, for you love the uppermost seats, the synagogues. And then this is the verse for the devotional. Woe unto you scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. Then he talks about the fact that they're like graves, whitewashed tombstones, that men walk over, they see this beautiful tombstone, but inside the grave is this rotting corpse. And this is what he is comparing them to. And then it's really interesting in verse 45, there's one of the lawyers that says, hey, you're kind of offending us too. And Jesus now turns to him and begins to pronounce woes on him. He says, you know, you laden men with burdens. And then it says, you build these sepulchres for the prophets whom you killed. And then in 52, it says, you've taken away every key of knowledge. So you've got the people now so hamstrung that now they can't find the truth. Just tied up. If you've ever been in a situation like this where this kind of thing just ties you up, where it's like you can't figure it out, you can't think of anything else, and you get bound up. This is exactly what had happened to these people. This is the opposite of what the Lord is intended to do. He says, if the Lord sets you free, you're free indeed. Not only just freedom when it comes to not being under the bondage of sin and Satan, but your mind is freed up, and now you can detect things that are just not right. And you can do those things that are right. And you have the freedom to do that and to live in such a way that it's God-honoring and pleasing. It'd be like just driving with no issues whatsoever. And the brains of the thing telling you everything is okay. That's what the Lord can do. And so we don't need this car giving us mixed signals about what's going on. We don't need mixed signals in our relationship with the Lord. We've got enough mixed signals in our society. We need a really clear connection between ourselves and the Lord. So if this issue is a wiring harness, well, we'll replace a wiring harness. If the issue is in our lives is that connection between the Lord, then we need to fix that. I appreciate doing these things. I thank you guys for listening in. I really appreciate the comments. I appreciate the phone calls that you guys give. You guys are awesome. It's fun going on this journey with you. May God bless you. Have a wonderful Saturday.